students, it's your English class, grade 6, unit 1. It's time to level up your English. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand the main topic and supporting details of a conversation, and you will be able to identify the speakers and their perspectives. Also, you will be able to respond appropriately to questions about the conversation. So we will see first about listening skills. So what's listening? Listening is the active process of receiving, interpreting, and understanding spoken language. It involves paying attention to the speaker, processing the information, and responding appropriately. So ሊስኒንግ ማለት አክቲቭ ፕሮሰስ ነው። ሪሲቭ ማድረግ ወይም ማዳመጥ እና ያንን ያዳመጥነውን ነገር ተርጉመን ወደ ራሳችን አስገብተን አንደርስታንድ ማድረግ ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ኢንተርፕሬቲንግ ኤንድ አንደርስታንዲንግ የማይለያዩ ነገሮች ናቸውና ሊስኒንግ ወይም ማዳመጥ አቴንሽን ለሚናገረው ሰው መስጠት ያስፈልጋል። ከዛን ደግሞ የሰማነውን ነገር ፕሮሰስ ማድረግ አለብን ማለት ነው። ብዙ ጊዜ ሰምታችሁ ከሆነ መስማትና ማዳመጥ ልዩነት አሉት ይባላል። መስማት ማለት ዝም ብሎ ድምጽ ነገር መስማት ነው እንጂ መልእክቱን መረዳት ወይም ከራሳችን ጋር አገናኝተን ትርጉም መስጠት ጋር አይገናኝም። ማዳመጥ ሲሆን ግን ፕሮሰስ ማድረግ ወይም ኢንተርፕሬት ማድረግ ይጠይቃል ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ሊስኒንግ የምንለው ይሄንን ነው። effectively listen ለማድረግ ወይም ደግሞ the process of effective listening involves paying attention, focusing on the speaker and avoiding distractions. paying attention ማለት አቴንሽናችንን ለሚናገረው ሰው ወይም ለስፒከሩ መስጠት ነው እና ደግሞ ዲስትራክሽኖችን ከራሳችን ማራቅ አለብን። that's one important point. And the second is processing information. This step is understanding the speaker's message and relating it to your own knowledge and experience. ስለዚህ ይሄ ሁልጊዜም ቢሆን ምንም ነገር ስናዳምጥ መጀመሪያ የሰማነውን ነገር ከራሳችን ጋር ሪሌት አድርገን ሜሴጁን እንወስዳለን ማለት ነው። And the third one is responding appropriately. So for speaking to be effective, you have to show that you are listening by nodding, by moving your neck up and down, and by making an eye contact with the speaker, and also by asking relevant questions. ስለዚህ የመጨረሻው ደግሞ አስፈላጊው ፖይንት ስናዳምጥ ራሳችንን ከታች ወደ ላይ በማነቃነቅ ከሚናገረው ሰው ጋር ኤንጌጅመንታችንን እንጀምራለን። አይ ኮንታክትም ሊኖረን ይገባል ማለት ነው። ይሄ እያዳመጥን ነው የሚለውን ነገር ለሚናገረው ሰው እንዲያውቅ ይረዳዋል ማለት ነው። ከዛም በተረፈ ደግሞ ከስፒኪንግ ጋር ወይም ከመልእክቱ ጋር ግንኙነት ያላቸው ኩዌሽኖችን ወይም ጥያቄዎችን በመጠየቅ we can make the listening process effective. So if we say this much about listening, let's exercise it. So you will hear a short conversation between two friends, and then you will answer questions based on that. I will read the conversation twice, so you're gonna hear it only twice, so try to listen to it very carefully.
Hey, Sarah, have you seen the new science fiction movie? No, I haven't. What's it about? It's about aliens who invade Earth and try to take over. It's really exciting. Sounds interesting. I love science fiction movies. I've been meaning to see that one. You should definitely check it out. There are some really cool special effects. I might do that. Have you read any good books lately? Yes, I just finished reading The Hunger Games. It's a great adventure story. I've heard good things about that book. I'll have to put it on my reading list. Hey, Sarah, have you seen the new science fiction movie? No, I haven't. What's it about? It's about aliens who invade Earth and try to take over. It's really exciting. Sounds interesting. I love science fiction movies. I've been meaning to see that one. You should definitely check it out. There are some really cool special effects. I might do that. Have you read any good books lately? Yes, I just finished reading The Hunger Games. It's a great adventure story. I've heard good things about that book. I'll have to put it on my reading list.
So, if you have heard the conversation very well, let's see some questions and try to answer these questions. So, what is the topic of the conversation? Well, the topic of the conversation or the main idea of the conversation was movies and books because they were talking about movies and books like The Hunger Games, science fiction movies, if you recall that. And the second question is what kind of movie is student one talking about? Student one was talking about science fiction movies, right? Yeah. And the third question is has student two seen the movie? No, student two has not seen the movie yet. And the fifth question is what is student two's favorite genre of books? So student two's favorite genre of books is science fiction. She likes to read science fiction, right? Yeah. And the fifth question is what book has student one recently read? So student one has recently read The Hunger Games. Very well, students. Have you got all the questions right? Okay, so you can improve your listening skills by practicing these kinds of questions, by exposing yourself to English listening, by watching some English news. You can improve your listening skill. See you on the next lesson. Hello students, it's time to level up your English. Today we're going to see about reading skills. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand the main idea and supporting details of a text, and then you will be able to analyze a text's structure, organization, and connect the text to their own experience and knowledge. And main point, more importantly, you should be able to answer some questions based on the text that you read. So, reading is a process of decoding written language and understanding its meaning. It involves recognizing letters, words, and sentences and interpreting the message that the author is conveying. So, as you know, kids start reading from letters to words and then sentences and then interpreting the message. So, as we see, reading is a process. It's not just a thing that happens or that appears. It's an ongoing process. ምንድነው እዚህ ጋር ሪዲንግ ወይም ደግሞ ማንበብ የምንለው ነገር ፕሮሰስ ነው። ዲኮዲንግ የተጻፈን ነገር ዲኮድ አድርገን ወደ ራሳችን አምጥተን ጭንቅላታችን ውስጥ አስገብተን የመረዳት የምንችለው ወይም ደግሞ መረዳት ያለብን ነገር ነው። ሶ ፕሮሰስ ነው ሪዲንግ። ከሌተሮች እንጀምራለን ወይም ከፊደሎች፣ ከዛ ቃላትን ማንበብ፣ ከዛ ደግሞ አረፍተ ነገርን ማንበብ፣ ከዛ ደግሞ ሙሉ ፓራግራፍን ወይም ደግሞ ሙሉ ኢሴን ወደ ማንበብ እንመጣለን ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ reading is an important skill for English. So there are some requirements for an effective reading. The first one is decoding skill. So decoding means it's the ability to recognize and interpret letters, words and sentences. ዲኮዲንግ ማለት ሌተሩን አይዴንቲፋይ ማድረግ ወይም ማወቅ፣ ቃላቶችን ማወቅ፣ አረፍተ ነገሮችንም እንደዛው። ስለዚህ ካላወቅን ጭንቅላታችን ውስጥ ከሌለ ማንበብ አንችልም ማለት ነው። ለምሳሌ ከልጅነታችን ኤ የምትለዋ ፊደል ኤ እንደሆነች ካላወቅን ኤ ብለን ልናነባት አንችልም። That's what decoding is. And the second one is vocabulary. So vocabulary, it is very essential for reading because when a person is rich with vocabulary, then he can easily understand a text, a book, or other things. So a strong vocabulary is essential for understanding written language. And comprehension skills. This is also an important ability. It's understanding the meaning of a text and relating it to your own knowledge and experience. So this is all about reading. So these kinds of skills build up by exercise. So we're gonna have to exercise reading, and you will try to get the meaning out of a reading text. And there is a reading text below. You will read the reading text in 3 minutes and answer the following questions. You may begin reading the text now. Okay, if you finished reading the text, let's move to the questions. So, question number one says, what happened to Max? And question number two says, who helped Max? And question number three says, where did Max get lost? So, we will see the answers together. Max got lost in the city, and a kind lady helped Max, right? And also, Max get lost in the big city. He got lost in the big city. And there is also another text, and then you will read this text, and then you will try to answer questions based on this text. You will have 3 minutes to read this text. You may begin now. Okay, have you finished reading the texts? Okay, now these are the questions. The first question says, what were Sarah and her friends doing at the beach? And the second question says, what did they enjoy doing at the beach? So, Sarah and her friends built sand castles on the beach, they splashed in the waves, they played volleyball, and what did they enjoy doing at the beach? Where they ate a delicious picnic lunch. That's what they enjoy. So, did you get all the answers correct? Good. So, you can boost your reading skill by reading more. See you on the next lesson. Hello, students. It's time to level up your English class. Today, we're going to see about simple present tense. We're going to see both positive and negative forms. So, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to use simple present tense correctly in both positive and negative forms, to talk about habits, routines, and general truths. The simple present tense is used to express actions that happen regularly, habitually, or generally. So it's also used to express facts or truths that are always true. So simple present tense የምንለው ድርጊቶችን የሚገልጽልን ሆኖ እነዛ ድርጊቶች ደግሞ ሬጉላርሊ ወይም ሀቢቹዋሊ በተደጋጋሚ ጀነራሊ የሚፈጠሩ ነገሮች እና ሁልጊዜም እውነት የሆኑ ነገሮች ናቸው ማለት ነው። Let's see the positive form of simple present tense. The structure is subject plus verb. So, for example, I play soccer every day. So, this sentence every day indicates a regular action. So, we use simple present tense. And she works at a hospital. This is also a general thing. They live in New York. This is also a simple present tense. So, you can use this tense in such kinds of situations. And the negative form is also the same, but only the verb is negative. So she does not like spicy foods. He does not play the guitar. They do not live in the big city. This is also habitual, general, and usually actions. The difference is only in the negative and positive form of the verb. So, I think it's clear on simple present tense. So, let's do an exercise based on this. So, there are 4 questions here. You will have to complete these sentences by using the correct verb form. Okay, so if you have done answering the questions, let's answer them together. The first question is, I like to read books. So, we answered it as it is. I like to read books is the answer. This sentence expresses a general habit, right? He liked to read books, so he preferred to read books. This is a preference. So I is singular, so obviously we use like in its base form. And the second one is she does not eat meat. So this sentence expresses a general habit or preference. The subject I is singular, so we use the verb like in its base form. And the third question is they live in a small town. The sentence expresses a general fact or truth. The subject they is plural, so we use live in its base form, and then the sentence would be a complete and correct sentence. And the fourth question would be, we play basketball every week. As I said a while ago, a simple present tense describes a regular activity. So here is an example for that. We play basketball every week. Every week in this sentence tells us that this action happens regularly. So we use simple present tense, the verb play in its base form. Okay, students, now let's move to another exercise. You're going to have to write a simple present tense sentences. Using simple present tenses, you will form your own sentences. You could describe your daily routine. You could tell us about yourself. Let's tell you an example. For example, I get up at 7 a.m. every morning. I brush my teeth in the morning. I always drink tea before going to school. So, using these kinds of simple present tenses, try to make up with the new sentences and then exercise your writing skill. So, to summarize today's lesson, the simple present tense is a fundamental grammar structure. It is used to express habits, routines, and general truths. By practicing the positive and negative forms of the simple present tense, you can improve your English and language skills. See you on the next lesson. Hello students, it's time to level up your English. I am Meryl Group, your English teacher. Today we're going to see about present continuous tense. So, after this lesson, you will be able to use the present continuous tense correctly to talk about actions that are happening now or near in the future, or to continue happening in the future. So the present continuous tense is used to express actions that are happening at the moment of speaking or around at the present time. It is formed with the verb be, am, is, are plus the past participle, which means the verb ing, the part that explains or tells us that the action is still ongoing. So present continuous የምንለው ምንድን ነው? አክሽኖች አሁንም እየተካሄዱ ያሉ ከዛም ደግሞ ወደፊትም እየተካሄዱ የሚቀጥሉ አክሽኖችን ለመግለጽ ነው። ለምሳሌ እኔ እንግሊሽ እያስተማርኩ ነው ካልኩኝ አሁንም እያስተማርኩ ነው፣ ወደፊትም እያስተማርኩ ነው አይደለ? ስለዚህ እንደዚህ አይነት አክሽኖችን ለመጠቀም ፕሬዘንት ኮንቲኒየስን እንጠቀማለን ማለት ነው። ለምሳሌ I am writing an essay, I am eating my breakfast. So, specifically the verb ing is the part that tells us this action is ongoing. So there are positive and negative forms. The positive form structure is subject plus am is or are plus verb ing. For example, I'm studying right now, she's playing the piano, they are watching a movie. So these are examples of positive simple present continuous tense. And the negative form would be subject plus am or is or are plus not plus verb ing. For example, I'm not sleeping, she's not eating, they're not working. So these kinds of sentences are simple present continuous tenses in a negative form. So the main difference is the verb in its negative or positive form, which is simple, and there are also another type, question type. So how do we use the simple present continuous tense in questions? So the form is, or the structure is am or is or are plus subject plus verb plus ing. So verb ing is a mandatory in simple present continuous tense. So let's see an example. Are you studying? Is she playing the piano? Are they working? So these are question formats, but also written in simple present continuous tense. እነዚህ ጥያቄዎችም ሆነው ግን ደግሞ በሲምፕል ፕሬዘንት ኮንቲኒየስ ቴንስም የተጻፉ አረፍተ ነገሮች ናቸው ማለት ነው። So if we say this much about them, let's see an exercise. You have to complete these sentences by using the right verb or simple present continuous verb form ማለት ነው። Okay, so have you finished doing the questions? Let us do them together. So the first question is he is reading a book. So we change the verb read into reading into its simple present continuous form. So the sentence expresses an action happening at the present moment. So of course we will use the verb ing form reading. And the answer for the second question is we are not watching TV. So the sentence expresses an action happening at the present moment, which is continuous. So we changed the verb watch into its verb ing form, watching. The same is true for the third question. She is playing with her dog. So this is also a continuous action. So we change it, the verb play into its verb ing form, playing. The she is singular, so we use is. And the fourth question is, are they sleeping? This is a question form. This is a question sentence, an interrogative sentence, and we changed the verb sleep into its verb ing form, sleeping. So that's how you understand a continuous thing is happening in a sentence by seeing, the verb ing form. So let me give you another exercise based on simple present continuous tense. So in this exercise, you will write your own sentence by using, present continuous tenses. You could describe what you are doing right now, or you could describe something that's happening right now, around you. Let me give you an example, and then you will, make your own sentences. For example, I'm sitting at my desk. I am teaching an English for grade 6. So students, as I told you, try to make up your own sentences. To summarize today's lesson, the present continuous tense is used to express actions that are happening now or in the near future or to continue to happen. So by practicing the positive, negative, and question forms of the present continuous tense, you can improve your English language skills. See you on the next lesson. Hello students, it's time to level up your English. Today we're gonna learn about writing a sentence. So first we will see what a sentence is, and then we will see how you can construct your own sentences. So at the end of this lesson, you should be able to define a sentence and identify its basic components. You should be able to analyze the structure of a sentence and apply your knowledge to write your own sentences. So let me just tell you what a sentence is very briefly. A sentence is a group of words that express a complete thought. It typically contains a subject, the place, or a person. It could be a thing, and then there is a verb or there is a predicate. For example, she likes to play piano. So in this sentence, the subject is she, and then the verb is likes, and then there is the predicate part along with the verb. So let us move to the types of sentences. There are 4 main types of sentences. We divided these types of sentences based on their purpose ወይም ደግሞ ምንድነው ፐርፐዛቸው አላማቸው ምንድነው ነው። ጥያቄ መጠየቅ ነው አላማቸው፣ ትዕዛዝ ማስተላለፍ ነው አላማቸው፣ ወይስ ስሜትን ወይም አጋኖን መግለጽ ነው አላማቸው የሚለውን እናያለን ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ጀነራሊ 4 አይነት ሴንቴንሶች ወይም 4 አይነት አረፍተ ነገሮች አሉ። The first sentence is declarative sentence. So this sentence makes a statement or declaration. ይሄ አንድ ነገር ዲክሌር ማድረግ ወይም መደምደም ነው። ጥያቄም አይደለም የሚጠይቀው አጋኖም አይደለም። It's just a declaration sentence. For example, the cat chased a mouse. So a declaration sentence is always followed by a full stop. Declaration ወይም ደግሞ statement ብዙ ጊዜ almost all the time የሚጠቀመው punctuation full stop ነው ወይም ዶት። ስለዚህ declarative sentence የምንለው ይሄ ነው። ሁለተኛው ደግሞ interrogative sentence. This is another name for questions. This sentence asks questions. So usually, not usually, always interrogative sentences are followed by question marks. For example, where did you go last night? ይሄ አሁን ጥያቄን የሚጠይቅ አረፍተ ነገር ነው ወይም መልስን in return መልስ የሚፈልግ ጥያቄ ነው ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ interrogative sentences የምንላቸው ጥያቄን የሚጠይቁ ስቴትመንቶች ወይም አረፍተ ነገሮች ናቸው ማለት ነው። አራተኛው የአረፍተ ነገር አይነት ኢምፐራቲቭ ሴንቴንስ እንለዋለን። ኢምፐራቲቭ ሴንቴንስ these are the kinds of sentences that we use them to give a command or request. For example, please close the door. So imperative sentence የምንላቸው ትዕዛዝ ናቸው። ትዕዛዝ ማለት in return አክሽንን የሚጠይቁ ናቸው። ለምሳሌ እባክህ በሩን ዝጋው ካልን ይሄ ኢምፐራቲቭ ሴንቴንስ ነው። ምክንያቱም በሩን እንዲዘጋልን ትዕዛዝ እየሰጠነው ነው ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ these kinds of sentences are always usually followed by full stop. እዚህ ጋር እንደምታዩት please close the door ይልና full stop አለ መጨረሻው ላይ። ስለዚህ usually ዶት እና የሚጠቀሙት at the end of the sentence. Imperative sentences are these kinds of sentences. And the last part of a sentence is an exclamatory sentence. This sentence expresses a strong emotion, it could be an excitement, it could be anger, it could be, very emotional thing. So we use exclamatory sentences to describe an emotion. For example, I could say, oh, what a beautiful day, there is emotion in my sentence. Or I could say in anger, how could you do this to me, in these kinds of sentences we use an exclamatory sentence. ስለዚህ generally ለመናገር exclamatory sentence ማለት በጣም ስትሮንግ የሆነ ስሜት ያላቸውን አረፍተ ነገሮች ለመግለጽ የንዴት፣ የደስታ እንደዚህ አይነት ነገሮችን ማለት ነው። So let's move to a sentence structure. There is a basic sentence structure that is SVO pattern. We usually call it SVO, subject, verb and object. And variations depending on the type of sentence and their emphasis desired based on what you want to make, on what kind of sentences you want to build. For example, let's see an example. The boy ate an apple. There is the boy, the subject, and there is the verb ate, and there is the object, an apple. ለምሳሌ እዚህኛው አረፍተ ነገር ላይ ሳብጀክቱ the boy ሲሆን ቨርቡ ደግሞ ኤት የሚለው ቨርብ ነው ወይም ድርጊቱን የሚገልጽልን ነው። ኦብጀክቱ ደግሞ an apple ነው ማለት ነው። Same for the two statements, subject plus verb plus complement. She is a teacher. They walked slowly. In this sentence, slowly is an adverb. ስለዚህ it is an adverbial object. Okay, so how do we construct a sentence? So we have seen 4 types of sentences. We have seen the structures of a sentences: subject, verb plus object, and then we have seen there are 4 types of sentences: interrogative sentence, declarative sentence, interrogative sentence, these kinds of sentences. So now we will see how you can construct your own sentence. So when you construct your own sentence, you should first identify the subject. Are you writing an action that's happening now? Okay, if you are, to whom is that action happening? That's what we call the subject, right? ባለቤቱ ነው። የድርጊቱ ባለቤት ማን ነው? She, አበበ፣ አለሙ፣ you. I can say I. So first we have to identify the subject, and then we should choose the verb, select an action or a word that suits the subject. So if the action is right now, we will use simple present tense. If the action is ongoing, we will use simple present continuous sentences. And if the action is in the past, we will use simple past tenses. So we should do this. And then another step would be you would add a complement if necessary, and then the object. It might not be always necessary, but usually it is. And then the main part of constructing a sentence is punctuation, because as I said earlier, for example, for a question to be a question, it should include a question mark at the end. If not, that's not a correct sentence. So students, if you want to construct a well structured and correct sentence, you should use a correct punctuation based on your sentence. So if you want to use a question statement, you have to add a question mark at the end of that sentence. And if you are writing an exclamatory sentence, you have to add an exclamation mark at the end of your sentence, and so on. አብሬያችሁ የነበርኩት ሜሮን ግሩም ነበርኩ። በሌላ ሌሰን እስከምንገናኝ መልካም